there, welcome to NTV English News Bulletin. I am Bhavana Casey. In the beginning, we have the headlines. President Bhandari summons the first meeting of the Federal Parliament after November 20 elections, joint meeting called on January the 9th. Prime Minister Dahal begins consultation with parties in the coalition regarding cabinet expansion, portfolio allocation, high on agenda. Death toll from devastating heavy rains and floods over the Christmas weekend in the Philippines rises to 25, nearly 400,000 affected. Ongoing match of T20 League, Viratnagar Super Kings to play against Pokhara Avengers in other match. Welcome back. Now we have the news in details. President Bidyadevi Bhandari has summoned the joint meeting of the Federal Parliament has been called for January the 9, 2023 at the new Baneswar Best Parliament building. President Bhandari summoned the meeting upon recommendation of the Council of Ministers as per Article 93, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution of Nepal. Newly appointed Prime Minister Pushpa Dahal has started consultation with the parties in the ruling coalition to further expand his cabinet. He held discussion over the government's expansion and portfolio delegation. Dahal is seconded by 7 parties in the parliament. However, not only 4 among them are participating in the government. The Janata Samajwadi Party is yet to make its official say over the participation. Rashtriya Prajatantra Party has already said it will not be participating in the government. Nagarik Unmukti Party says it will refrain from joining until some of its demands outline has already been drafted over the shape, size and responsibilities of the parties in the government. There are altogether 25 various ministers, including the office of the Prime Minister, to be filled in. Discussion is underway to allocate the ministries to the parties in the coalition. Series of earthquakes have been recorded in different areas of Baglung district. According to National Earthquake Monitoring and Research Center, earthquake measuring 4.7 in the Richter scale was recorded in Adhikari Chaura Baglung at the wee hours of 1:23 a.m. Likewise, 5.3 magnitude earthquake occurred with its epicenter around Khunga at 2:07 a.m. this morning. The third one, measuring 4 on the Richter scale, took place with its epicenter at Adhikari Chowk at 3:28 a.m. this morning. The center informed that the earthquakes were a time to go for a short break, but still to come we have. From the international front, the death toll from heavy rains and floods that devastated parts of the Philippines over the Christmas weekend has risen to 25, with 26 others still missing, the National Disaster Response Agency said. Nearly 400,000 people were affected, with over 81,000 still in shelters and 9 others injured. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council said a shear line, the point where warm and cold air meet, triggered rains in parts of the eastern, central and southern Philippines, the State Weather Bureau said. While the effect of the shear line has weakened, a new low-pressure area may bring moderate to heavy rains within next 24 hours to the same areas affected by the Christmas weekend. Each year, about 20 typhoons and storms batter the Philippines, one of the world's most disaster-prone countries. Russia has banned, agreed by the G7 group of the nations. Australia and the EU came into force on 5th of December. The cap prohibits countries from paying more than $60 per barrel of the Russian oil. Russia has now said its oil and oil products will not be sold to anyone imposing the price cap. The presidential decree said the ban would take effect for 5 months from 1st January until 1st July. The decree also said Russian President Vladimir Putin could give special permission to supply to the countries that fall under the ban. Chinese people have rushed to book overseas travel after Beijing announced it would reopen its borders next month. Passport applications for Chinese citizens wishing to travel internationally will resume from 8 January, the immigration arrivals. Travel sites have since reported a spike in traffic, but Chinese tourists will not have unfettered access to all the countries. Japan, one of the most popular destinations for Chinese travelers, has announced that all travelers from China must show a negative COVID test on arrival or quarantine for 7 days because of the surge in cases there. For updates, line up on the other side, but before that, let's have what we have coming up next. In place a controversial Trump-era policy that blocked thousands of people from crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. Title 42 gives the government power to automatically expel undocumented migrants seeking entry. The potential lifting of the policy had prompted concerns that the number of migrants at the border would rise. The Biden administration said it would comply with the ruling but called for reform of immigration policy. San Francisco is being sued for allegedly forcing homeless people to move and discarding their belongings when it doesn't have anywhere for them to stay. An estimated 7,800 people without a home in San Francisco, a politically liberal city that has become an emblem of California's staggering inability to counter the increasing number of people living in tents and in cars. Homeowners, businesses, and local leaders are frustrated with from using the public streets. Despite the city's $672 million annual budget to address the homelessness, everyone remains frustrated, from homeless advocates to business owners, residents, and unhoused people. Now to sports. Two matches have been slated for today under the first edition of the franchise cricket tournament, Nepal T20 League, underway in Kathmandu. Lumini All-Stars is locking horns with Far West United in the first match of the day, underway at Tiu Cricket Ground in Kirtipur. Lumini All-Stars, that chose to field first, is chasing the target of 138 runs. Lumini 116 runs so far. Far West United had scored 137 runs, losing 6 wickets in a stipulated 20 overs. In the other match, to kick off at 1 p.m., Viratnagar Super Kings will play against Pokhara Avengers. Pokhara, which has played the 3 games so far, is without points as it suffered defeat in all 3 games. 6 franchise teams are participating in the competition. Team Red Bull Postal Express on this year's Red Bull Billy Kart race at Melbourne on 3rd of December. Team Posty Run came in second, ahead of Trial by Ibis in third. The annual one-day fun event is where amateur pilots challenge one another by presenting handmade and motor-less vehicles. Well, with this update, we come to the end of this English News Bulletin. But before we say goodbye, let's have a quick reminder of the major stories. Of Federal Parliament after November 20 elections, joint meeting called on January the 9th. Prime Minister Dahal begins consultation with parties in the coalition regarding cabinet expansion, portfolio allocation high on agenda. Death toll from devastating heavy rains and floods over the Christmas weekend in the Philippines rises to 25, nearly 400,000 affected. And Lumini All-Stars locking horns with Far West United in the ongoing match of T20 League. Viratnagar Super Kings to play against Pokhara Avengers in the other match of the day. That's all we have in this edition of English News Bulletin. We'll see you again with next round of English Bulletin at 6 in the evening. Till then, have a great time ahead and do stay tuned with us to catch the latest news updates and other.